Here are 10 events that took place on June 3rd in history. On June 3rd, 350 CE, Roman commander Magnentius was proclaimed emperor by his troops in Gaul during a period of political instability within the Western Roman Empire. Surviving accounts describe military officers, administrative personnel, and regional elites participating in the declaration. The event followed dissatisfaction with Emperor Constantius' rule, and reports note that messages were sent to surrounding provinces to secure support. The proclamation marked the beginning of a conflict between Magnentius and Constantius II, with subsequent troop movements and diplomatic exchanges recorded in imperial correspondence. On June 3, 1621, the Dutch West India Company received its official charter from the States General of the Netherlands. The document granted the company authority to conduct trade, establish settlements, and engage in military operations across the Atlantic, including West Africa, the Caribbean, and parts of the Americas. The charter outlined government structures, profit sharing arrangements, and obligations to the Dutch state. Surviving records detail the company's intended role in competing with Iberian powers and expanding Dutch commercial networks during the early 17th century. On 3rd of June 1657, the Battle of Charny Ostrov took place during the Second Northern War. Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth forces engaged Swedish troops in the region of present-day Ukraine. Military reports describe cavalry maneuvers, skirmishes along marshy terrain, and the positioning of infantry units. Swedish forces eventually withdrew from the area, and correspondence from the period notes the encounter as part of shifting engagements between the two sides. The battle contributed to the broader pattern of campaigns and negotiations that characterized the conflict. On June 3, 1781, Jack Jouett began an overnight ride from Cuckoo Tavern in Virginia to warn Governor Thomas Jefferson and members of the Virginia legislature of approaching British dragoons under Banastre Tarleton. Surviving accounts describe Jouett traveling through wooded terrain and rural paths to reach Monticello and Charlottesville. His warning allowed officials to disperse before British officials arrived. Records from the period document the route taken, the timing of the alerts, and the subsequent movements of both American and British personnel. On June 3, 1839, the Treaty of London was signed by representatives of the United Kingdom and the Qing dynasty, concluding an early phase of hostilities in the First Opium War. The agreement included provisions for the exchange of prisoners, temporary cessation of fighting, and arrangements for further negotiations. Surviving diplomatic correspondence outlines the terms discussed, the locations of meetings, and the expectations of both parties. The treaty served as an interim measure before later arrangements that more fully defined the conflict's outcomes. On June 3, 1861, the Battle of Philippi occurred in western Virginia during the opening months of the American Civil War. Union forces conducted a pre-dawn advance on Confederate encampments, leading to a brief engagement and the withdrawal of Confederate troops. Military dispatches describe the movement of regiments, the use of artillery positions, and the capture of supplies. The encounter is noted in official records as one of the earliest land actions of the war, with subsequent reports detailing the strategic implications for control of the region. On June 3, 1889, the Canadian Pacific Railway completed its first transcontinental passenger service to Vancouver, British Columbia. Railway logs document the arrival of the inaugural train and the presence of company officials and the operation of newly completed infrastructure along the route. The extension connected eastern and western Canada by continuous rail service, and the contemporary reports describe the logistical preparations, scheduling, and public reception. The event marked a significant stage in the development of national transportation networks. On June 3, 1937, the Duke of Windsor married Wallis Simpson at the Château de Candé in France, following his abdication from the British throne in 1936. Official notices and press accounts describe the private nature of the ceremony, the attendance of a small group of witnesses, and the couple's subsequent residence in France. Records from the period detail the legal arrangements, the officiating clergy, and the international media coverage that followed this event. The marriage remained a subject of public interest due to its constitutional implications. On June 3, 1965, astronaut Edward H. White conducted the first American spacewalk during NASA's Gemini 4 mission. Mission transcripts describe White exiting the spacecraft using a handheld maneuvering unit, conducting extravehicular activity for approximately 20 minutes, and photographing the spacecraft and Earth below. Communications logs record instructions from mission control, White's observations, and the procedures followed for re-entry into the capsule. The event marked a significant milestone in the United States human spaceflight program. On June 3, 1989, legislative elections were held in Poland under the Round Table Agreement between government and opposition groups. Official results documented substantial gains for the Solidarity movement, including victories in contested parliamentary seats. Reports from the period describe voter turnout, the structure of the partially open electoral system, and the reactions of political leaders. The election is recorded as a major stage in Poland's transition away from one-party rule and towards a new political framework. Those were 10 events that took place on June the 3rd in history. If you would like to see more of such content, please like this video and subscribe to my channel.